and they remove themselves from like their kids or their family stress or work stress or all of the above. It's just sometimes you have to recharge out of your own physical space to come back to it.
Today, it's your birthday. Not sure what that means? Let us introduce you to this powerful concept and our community. We're Helene and Christina, and our mission is to empower, teach, and remind women to celebrate themselves. Combined, we have over 35 years' experience as therapists in private practice.
Today, though, we come to you not as your therapist, but rather two women in this life stage with you, your friends. Our podcast promises to talk about the hard or uncomfortable topics in a way to empower you, laugh along the way as part of healing, and finding joy in life. What sets us apart? We leave you with gifts each and every episode. Okay, now that we're friends, let's go ahead and make this official. We would love to help you start your Thursday mornings, so make sure you follow the show wherever you listen and sign up for our free newsletter at yourbirthdaypodcast.com to receive this episode in your inbox weekly.
Welcome back to It's Your Birthday, the podcast that celebrates you every single day. If you're new to us, we're thrilled you're joining the party. Today's episode is the gift of travel. We are going to pack in this conversation how travel enriches, restores, and inspires us. Today's guest is extra special. It's someone I went to high school with, and she's a fellow Gator alum. We've not spoken in decades, and yet when Christina and I came up with this episode title, I knew immediately who to reach out to, and she responded within minutes. That is your first gift, friends. If you're thinking of someone, even from years or decades ago, reach out. You may receive a gift like this one today. Friends, with us today, we have Deborah Director, who has a dream career as a luxury travel advisor. She travels all over the world, and we are so excited to have her here today.
Hi, Deborah. Thank you for gifting us your time. First of all, we'd like you to tell us a little bit about who you are, what lights you up, and your journey to becoming a luxury travel advisor. And what does this mean to you? And I think I also want to know, how do I fit in your suitcase?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. It's so nice to connect and reconnect with you, Helene, and to meet you also, Christina. Thank you so much. The suitcase thing, we have to figure out the TSA part, but then I think we're good.
Well, my husband works for them, so I can handle that.
Oh, well, that's easy then. Perfect. It's always good to know somebody.
Yeah.
So I actually have been in travel for 12 years. It's a second career for me. I've got a master's degree in speech pathology, of all things. And I was on staff at a hospital, Delray Hospital, actually, for 15 years. And I also worked with students with autism and Down syndrome, Fragile X syndrome.
Wow.
Yeah. I always like the neurocognitive linguistic
Yeah, that's so cool.
influences. And travel is a second career for me. But I do think travel is the best teacher.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
that's
love travel.
Oh, awesome. So how did you get into the luxury travel? Like, how did that evolve?
So I kind of fell into it, actually. So, working at a hospital or a school, I was going into a physical boxy building every day. And I found it a little bit restrictive for my right brain creative side.
Yeah.
And I felt like I just needed to expand my physical workplace. But it was 2013. It was before the pandemic. There were not a lot of opportunities to do that because there was no infrastructure, no Zoom like we're on now, or technology in place to actually be able to work remotely. It was not really heard of then. So I kind of fell into it. A friend of mine had just gotten engaged, of all things, and I went and brought her a present to her workplace, which was my client's home, who lives in Boca. And I saw on her computer screen that there was 4 seasons. You can't come here. We're full. We're sold out. No availability. So her computer screen was facing out into the room. And I said to her, "Oh, I started doing travel this morning. What are you trying to get?" And so she said, and she looked at me like I was, clearly not quite right. And she said, "I'm trying to get the 5-bedroom residence at the Vail 4 Seasons over spring break, and I can't get it. The client's EA couldn't get it. The Amex Centurion manager can't get it." And I said, "Oh, well, I've been doing travel for 2.5 hours. Would you like me to try? And she looked at me and she basically said, knock yourself out. Go try. So I said, okay, well, I like a challenge. So
Hey, on.
yeah, exactly. Pretty much. So
Yeah.
I ended up calling the hotel and I said, I have family that would like this 5-bedroom residence. She said, oh, let me look and see what's going on. She said, well, the suite's being blocked. And I said, well, how do you unblock a suite? I didn't even know that, the question wasn't really like appropriate or that, but I was on staff at a hospital. We like the why,
Yeah, 100%. And we find workarounds because we're determined to care for our patients. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Right.
I like the why. And I said, well, why would a room be blocked? And they said, oh, well, let me look into it. And she said, and this was a Saturday to Saturday stay. And she said, oh, well, there's a party on Wednesday night. So, being the problem solver, I said, well, why don't you move the party to the 4-bedroom residence and we can take the 5? And she said, well, of course you needed to have a clearance. And anyway, she got it. And I got this suite that people had been working on this for 3 weeks, couldn't get. They didn't ask why.
Yeah.
And so,
They
yeah.
accepted the answer, and not that you were busting the barrier, you were challenging it because you knew you just what to ask and you weren't going to allow it to be blocked.
No, and I was doing travel for literally like 2.5 hours.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
My calling is here.
Exactly. So wait a second. I can work from where my phone is, and that means I can do this. And I did it.
I love it.
Wow.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I do forensic psychology in Florida.
Oh,
and
yeah.
one of the things I love is I get to ask all the questions that everybody thinks but knows is like probably not appropriate to ask. And I'm
Sure.
like, so, and then I like say all the things. And so I love that. Like, you didn't know what was appropriate or not appropriate. You were like, this is what I need. How do I go
Yeah.
about doing it? Like, what's my backdoor entry?
Exactly. And I still do that even today. Like I did it earlier. Actually, I did it earlier this morning. I have a client that wants a leather appointment at Hermes, and leather appointments at Hermes are different than regular appointments at Hermes. They basically have lists and it's based on your profile as a person, like if you're a celebrity, what your in brand spend is. They have very, very significant metrics on this. And I didn't even know really that it was a thing, but apparently that's why I learn every day. And so I'm working to get them. And they're just they're a high net worth couple, but they're not necessarily famous. I mean, they're
Right.
notable, but not famous, if that makes sense.
That makes
And
Yeah.
so I'm now tasked with getting this leather appointment. Hopefully, maybe they'll get me a little souvenir. But so anyway.
It's so funny. I literally just learned how to pronounce it a year ago. So
Oh, really? Yeah. It's
first my level.
yeah, but no, but everyone's different, and I mean, can you imagine not even being able to get an appointment? They won't even make you an appointment. You can go buy like a lipstick or a belt, but like a bag, they won't. It's
Right.
wild.
And you're like, what's the why? So
Yeah, I'm like, what's the why here?
what's
They're
the
like,
why?
because we don't do that. I'm like, okay, yeah. I guess that's how they keep their brand exclusive
Yeah. That's
by
why
restricting access.
Yeah.
So our podcast is all about the gifts that we give ourselves, or at least we encourage to. I
Okay,
think Christina and I bring to people things like Christina just said that they're thinking about, but maybe they don't know the how or why or the impact it will have. So those are the things that we try to sprinkle in and
sure.
teach people. So bringing it back to travel, why
Yeah.
do you believe travel can be one of the greatest gifts that someone can give themselves?
I think that's a really great question. And I think it's because travel transcends cultures, it transcends routines, it can blend parts of your life from past to present seamlessly. Like, for example, I have an older client, I mean, older than me. So anybody older than me is older. So she's probably in her early 70s, and she was a huge, huge, huge Beatles fan. And she wanted nothing more than to have this Beatles experience in London, and she wanted to go to Liverpool, but she was based out of London, but it was kind of a trek to go from London to Liverpool. So instead, I worked with one of the destination management companies that I work with to come up with a very unique experience for her to tour London without trekking to Liverpool and back in the same day with the Beatles' old hairdresser. The hairdresser that traveled with the Beatles
Oh my gosh.
knew
How
them all.
fun.
Yes. I knew them like very, very well. She said, "You can do that?" And I said, "Yeah, I can." And so she said, "That wasn't what I was actually originally aiming for, but I think it's actually going to be even better." And I said, "I think so." And so this man had written a book, and their tour, she was enjoying it so much, and she's a bit particular. She extended the tour by 3 hours because they were engaged in such conversation, and he gifted her a book of what he did with all of his experiences with the Beatles, and she said to me that it was hands down, and she was a solo female traveler, by the way, the best experience that she had ever had because it was the closest she felt to actually the Beatles, and having that vantage point and that experience with the Beatles hairdresser taking her around London and going to all their hot spots was so unique.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was really
Cool.
special.
Well, I think when you say that, what comes up for me is that the greatest thing that you can give yourself about travel is that if you say it, like if you get in connection with what you want and maybe have a little bit of a visual idea of what you're wanting, and you ask someone like you or put out to someone else who's had a similar experience, it can come. Like
Yes.
you don't have to keep the ideas and the dreams inside. They truly
No.
can become reality. You just have to allow yourself to dream big and maybe bigger, whether it's Beatles or not. But you can
Exactly.
get yourself exactly what you want it to be and create those memories.
Exactly, because, treasured treasured memories are created through experiences, in my opinion,
Mhm.
and when you can if you can say it, it can probably be actualized. You
Mhm.
know, there's very, very few things that can't be actualized. I had a car enthusiast who wanted to drive a Bugatti on the racetrack of the Grand Prix in Monaco. And I got him a retired race car driver to drive with him in a Bugatti around the Monaco Grand Prix
So
racetrack.
cool.
Yeah.
That's
I
so
had
cool.
somebody who likes space. I mean, I would personally never do this because I don't like I'm personally claustrophobic, and I like to not be out of my comfort zone, but which is strange because I travel every, I don't know, week. But they went up to space,
Wow.
Virgin Galactic.
Oh, they did that trip. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
they did the Virgin Galactic, and there's a lot of people actually entering that market space
Yeah.
perspective. There's a number of them. I would probably it's not for me, but some people do like that. I think they like it because it's so inaccessible that it's a very smaller catchment group of people who could actually
Mhm.
would do it or could do it because it's also, very costly.
Extremely costly. Wow. Okay, so I'm gonna live vicariously through somebody else. I
Okay.
turned 40 during COVID, and my 40 trip got totally canceled. So I'm gonna ask you this. What is an experience that was super memorable of when somebody did like a milestone trip or like, a poignant trip with a purpose that really stands out to you and was really incredible?
Sure, sure. So I actually have a nice guy. He's an attorney, and he was unfortunately diagnosed with like a lymphoma type of a
Mm.
disease. And he was supposed to go with his family on a safari, and he had to, table that trip for a bit. And I worked successfully to get that trip moved without penalty for him. But side note, always take travel insurance. Always do not opt to self-insure. And then later on, he was able to travel, and he actualized that trip with his family, and it was even better.
Mm. I
And
love
and
that for him.
and it was really, really nice. He was able to enjoy it. He felt well. He is well, knock on wood. He's doing great. But it was just really nice to be able to see the trip through for him.
That's so cool. And I
Yeah.
love that. Helene and I have talked a lot about after she overcame her cancer, how, she's done so many poignant life moments to just really capture what it feels like to be alive and genuinely
Sure.
live. And I love that for him. Like,
I do.
my thought is when I hear that, like maybe just taking that trip would have been a trip, but
Right.
taking that trip at that moment was like living life with
E
joy.
Exactly, and I think that sometimes when something happens health-wise or otherwise that is pivotal, I think
Mhm.
that, while nobody really likes the pivot typically, I think it provides perspective, and
Yeah.
then yeah, and then I think that because he was able to really enjoy it with his family and feeling well and being on the other side of it. It was a greater experience.
Wow.
That's
Helene, have you seen that in traveling, that you really absorb it in a different way?
Oh, absolutely. And I think I've told this story before, and it's just like when you live a really busy life, or when I was living life so busy, and there was that moment that I was just like on the soccer field with my kids, and I remember calling my husband, and I was like looking at the sky, and it was pink and red and beautiful. And I called him and I'm like, how long does the sky look like this? And he's like, I don't know, forever. But I think I never took the time or the moment to really get in touch with all my senses to experience everything. So now, like, travel's like huge. My husband's like, "Do you want to go here?" Yes. Like, we just went to
Yeah.
Greece, and he was looking at something the other day. He's like, "Do you want to go back?" I'm like, "Sure, when?" Like,
Yeah.
because when you can allow yourself to really immerse in being in something, especially if you hadn't done it before and you allow yourself to really be there, it's amazing,
I agree.
as you say.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, speaking of Greece, there's nothing like a Santorini sunset.
Yes. That's exactly what you say. He's like, "Do you want to go back there? There is something happening there." And I'm like, "Okay, sure, what?"
Mm.
I
Yeah.
remember the first time when I was in Santorini, it was my first trip to Greece, actually. I had never been to Santorini. I was in Santorini. We were having a glass of wine, and I was with a bunch of other, random Americans that I didn't know, and in Greece. And literally, when the sun was setting, people were clapping. Like it was like a show from nature that was just so beautiful that none of us had ever seen from that perspective. And we were like, this is the most fantastic sunset we had ever seen, probably anywhere. It was, and they have it every day, but we don't here. It's just something about, I guess, maybe the latitude line and the caldera and the cliffs and the sky, and it was just really, really special.
And it's something that stays with you forever, which is
Yep.
one of the
Yeah.
greatest gifts that you're teaching us about travel.
Yep, for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, we were clapping for a sunset.
Wow.
Yes. Oh, I love that.
I hope the sunset appreciated it.
It came back the next day, so I
It
think it
did. It
did.
did an encore. Yeah.
So travel was wrapped up as a gift, like with a
Exactly.
big bow on top. You gotta go big, then bigger, brighter with
Yep.
Christina. What do you think would be inside? Meaning, like, can you share the essence or philosophy that you would say travel can be?
Sure. I think travel is about connection. I think travel is about connecting through a multi-sensory approach, through food, through music, through dance, through
Mm.
art, through architecture. I think it's through all of that. And I think travel is about connection. I remember my first trip to Italy, I was with my boyfriend from a long time ago. I think I was probably 30. And I saw this woman. We were on the train, in the back of the train, not the front. We were in the very economy based section of the train. And there was this woman there, and nobody else was there because they were all smart enough to go where there was air conditioning. We didn't know it at the time, and I wasn't a travel agent then. And so there's this woman, and she was wearing this gorgeous pair of sunglasses. I think they were Chanel. And she didn't speak any English, and I clearly didn't speak any Italian. And so we had this whole conversation. Her sunglasses were gorgeous. And I said, "Oh, I like the C. I made the C with my hands. This is Chanel sunglasses." And my boyfriend at the time was a physician. It was a physician, a cardiologist, and he looked at me. He said, "You're having a whole conversation about Chanel sunglasses, and you're speaking English, and she's speaking Italian. Yet it seems like you're really actually kind of knowing what each other is saying." And I said, "Yeah." She was smiling. I was smiling. It's sunglasses. I mean, we really, had the whole thing. And he said, "It's really, really amazing. You can really be in any country and you just can connect with people." And I said, that's the goal of the travel. And I never forgot that because I never met this woman. I never saw her again either, but I liked her sunglasses and we had a whole connection over something that was equally familiar to each of us.
Mm.
I love that. Oh,
And I
Yeah.
think when you allow yourself to want to be curious and have connection, on the last day, we had a day in Greece before we were leaving, and you were able to, like, we went on like a catamaran on a private yacht. So there was four of us, and these two guys didn't speak English. Obviously, we did. The captain and the hostess did speak English, But they were serving lunch and the four of us are sitting there, and my husband just started trying to have a conversation with one of them. And initially they were very uncomfortable. So, but they did understand, like, what language do you speak? So next thing you know, my husband takes out his phone, he downloads their language.
Yeah.
Take out your phone, he downloaded an app. And we had this beautiful conversation between the four of us. I said, Steve Jobs would be very proud and very excited by
Yes.
this moment.
Mm-hmm.
But it was so beautiful that we were able to connect and to share and to ask questions. And it just required us to be curious and ask the question and figure out a way. There was always a way to connect, like you said.
Exactly, because you wanted to, and I mean, there's a will, there's a way. My mother used to say that. I mean, I think that it's just, a wonderful thing to do. I mean, I think travel is really largely about connection, but connection to yourself too.
That actually leads me perfectly to our next question, which is, in your years of experience, can you share how you've seen travel change people's perspectives, confidence, or even their relationships?
Sure. Oh, it's a good question. I love that one. So yeah, so I mean, I can speak personally. So I actually used to be horrifically terrified to fly. I still don't really like it, but now I just do it where I'm more comfortable and I'm better because I'm fairly claustrophobic. So I feel like travel challenges me and takes me out of my comfort zone. Like, for example, I'm going to Japan in March. I've never been to Japan, but I'm going with work friends and it's going to be very structured. But I do feel that travel changes your perspective. It takes you out of your routine. It places you in a different physical environment with different scents. Like I remember being in Morocco and going to the spice market in Marrakesh and experiencing things that I've never experienced before.
Mm.
And seeing just like a small glimpse into the life of others. And then it makes me reconnect with myself because I can very, very easily just kind of get stuck in my day to day just because
Mhm.
we all have a lot of things to do on the regular basis. But it's really important to travel to kind of give yourself your perspective and insight into what your day to day is. And if you like it or if you want to tweak it or you want to modify it, I work, it's funny, I don't know why this is, but a lot of in the relationships, the husband will call me to, I don't know, no one's ever planned a trip for me, but the husbands plan trips for their wives. And I think that's very, very nice. I said, I just want somebody to make, I mean, I would even be happy if somebody made a dinner reservation at this point, but but
That is so funny.
it's,
I
it's true.
love it. I love it. No, I was literally just having dinner with a girlfriend on Tuesday, and a meeting had run over, so I was, like, running late, and I called her, and I'm like, "I'm so sorry running late, like, we're going to this great Indian place." She goes, "I ordered apps in your cocktail already," and I was like, "Can I marry
Oh
you?"
my, exactly. I get that.
That's, like,
To me,
it's
that's a
amazing,
gift.
and I would have
That,
been like, in my 20s, I'd have been like, "Oh, what a controlling asshole." Now I'm like,
no, to me, that's a
"Oh, I
gift.
love you."
That's a gift.
Yeah.
That's somebody taking the pressure off of you, the stress off of you. They're familiar enough with you to know what you were going to order for your drink and what you would like to eat. And when you got there, just to make it a little bit easier, just so you can enjoy
Sh
upon arrival.
And she knew me, she nailed me. She had a Cosmo,
I love
we
that.
had mushroom naan,
Oh,
and
delicious.
yeah, I was like, "You spoke my love language."
I love that. It's what acts of service.
Yeah, it is,
Yep.
yep, yeah, so I love that, yes, so those men out there that are listening and you're, like, on the fence of planning that trip,
Do it.
there's your girl, go
Yeah.
find her.
Oh,
She will make that person in your life very happy.
it's true. And I think travel also to me, anyway, luxury is personal. I work with a very, very, very high-end interior designer, and she's at a hotel in Beverly Hills now. And it's she doesn't like champagne. She's not fussy. She likes these little mini Snickers bars. So, okay, so right. So when she travels, so she's at the hotel, and I said for her welcome amenity, I said she won't drink the champagne. Can you please do flat and some still water, and then also if you can get the mini bite-sized Snicker bars. And so she got to the hotel. She saw, and I always wrote her like, I mean, I send the text to a note, and the hotel handwrites the note on my behalf, and welcome to the so-and-so hotel, and she had her waters and the bowl of Snickers, and she said, I feel like, and I know today's Halloween, but this wasn't today. She said it was yesterday. She said, I feel like it's Halloween and I can go trick-or-treating in my room. Thank you so much for my Snickers bar.
Love that. I totally love that. So my
That's
rule for my
awesome.
kids is I get all the mini Snickers that have a C on them because my name is Christina Cohen.
I
And
love
so the
that.
C's belong to me.
Yes.
And that is their thing. And so and my daughter's name starts with an S. So she goes, I get the S's. And I was like, well, there's an S in my name too. And she's like, Mom, I get the S's.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, but I get all the C. Yeah. So neighbors, if you're out there, like
Yep.
make sure you're putting the C Snickers in my kid's bag.
I love that. That's really
Just
funny.
putting that there. Yeah. And I
Well,
would also like want to say in this moment, like friends, if you are listening and your partner needs to hear this because they need to be planning something for you, it is okay to forward this episode on to them
Absolutely.
and send them to, be like, hey, listen to Deborah
Yep.
and she's going to be your girl and go find her. It's okay. As I firmly believe, like, we can give our want list very directly. Like when I do my holiday list, there is hyperlinks. So all my husband has to do is click and purchase.
I love that.
I do because I
That's-
want it to be right. I don't want to open something under the tree that I'm pissed about.
No, I think that's great. I mean, some
And
people
so I think the same is here.
guidance.
Like send them Deborah's information and make sure that, you tell them, you can give hints where you want to go. You could even tell them exactly where you want to go, whatever you need. And
Exactly.
Deborah's your girl to make it happen.
I mean, it's okay to give somebody a roadmap.
100%. How do they
Right.
know otherwise?
Right. And you want to set them up for success.
Yes. Yes. And you don't want to be disappointed.
No.
Win, win, win. Yeah.
I think so. But yeah, so I think, and when, especially when couples go away and they remove themselves from like their kids or their family stress or work stress or all of the above, it's just sometimes you have to recharge out of your own physical space to come back to it.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. So if
Mhm.
someone is thinking about gifting themselves a trip,
Yeah.
what would be, I think this is going to be hard. This is like going to box you in when you're like,
Okay.
I don't want to be boxed in, but I think it's going to box you in a little
Okay,
bit.
let's see.
But what would be your top 3 tips to really help it be more memorable to them? Like, what would be 3 things that you would
Well-
encourage people if they want to gift themselves a trip to be aware of?
are they traveling solo or with friends?
Ooh, you choose.
Yeah, you choose.
Okay, so I think if they're traveling with friends, they need to choose wisely because group dynamics can sometimes be amazing or they can be tricky.
Fair.
And so I think that when traveling with a group, it needs to the personalities, should really blend well,
So be
ideally.
really intentional about who you're choosing to travel with. They could be your friend for something else, and you do
Exactly.
other life things. But if you're traveling, think smartly. Of
Exactly.
personalities.
Because I mean, you
Okay.
don't want to be sequestered with people for, a week or 10 days and you have somebody who, has a habit or a quirk or at least if
Mhm.
you find it quirky to navigate that for, a longer period of time. So, or if you're traveling with yourself. So like for example, I like cities. I'm not a resort person because I don't like the quiet of a resort. I like the bustle of a city. It just kind of gives me something. For some reason, I also don't like to be in quiet. I like to be in noise. Like I fall asleep with the TV on. I actually prefer to sleep with it. If I wake up and the TV shuts off, I put it back on. I like background noise. It helps me for some reason for me it regulates my nervous system. I don't know why. It just does. But some people don't like that. And so they should really pick a destination that matches what their energy is. Or maybe perhaps do the opposite if you need to work on it.
There's a gift.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Like maybe, but I mean, there's 2 schools of thought. One, do something that you don't normally do so you can like maybe, awaken part of, another part of your personality or your brain, or other people might say, well, why do I need something I don't really like to do? So
Oh my gosh, this is so cool. So I don't know if you're fully aware, Deborah, but we have been hinting for the past like probably 5, 6 episodes. And in this episode, we are sharing with our audience what we've been hinting at.
oh,
And
I
that
had no
is
idea. I'm
that
excited.
we are gifting them their first course, which is going to launch December 1st.
Wow.
Yes. And it's a total gift to them. And it's going to be called The Gift of Retreating, a Celebration of You, because we genuinely
I
want
love that.
all of our followers to learn how to celebrate themselves, right? That is our must do, our mantra, and our why is because we believe every person in this world deserves to be celebrated, whether you're a
I agree.
celebrity or not.
I agree. I think that's a beautiful thing to do. And I also think that, you know, I do genuinely believe that every person that I interact with, I can learn from.
Mm.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. I think there's life lessons in everybody we encounter. Absolutely.
Mhm.
I love that.
Definitely.
So for their retreat, they can either do it alone or with a
Mhm.
group of friends. And I love how you kind of led me perfectly into this by saying, like, you have to really think about the people that you're going to do travel with. And we have said that throughout, like, as we've created this retreat for people, is like,
I love
think
it.
about this tribe that you're bringing. And are these your people to do this with? Because I think, friendships in life, like, there's different people we do different things with, right? And there's different roles people play in our lives. But with that said, if they were to choose travel, and we are encouraging it probably because Helene and I both love travel and we feel like there's so much learning and healing and goodness that
Sure.
comes out of travel, where do you think or how do you think they should start deciding on where to go and the type of place to stay at? Would you have questions they might want to ask themselves as they're kind of envisioning this? Like, what would you think if somebody said to you, hey, I'm going to do this really amazing retreat. I need a place to be to just do this healing work. What would be your wisdom to them as they're looking for
Sure.
somewhere?
So I think there's a few things that people should look at. I think like physical design aesthetic is one of them. I
Mm.
think that certain colors evoke emotions with people. And I think some people find certain colors energizing, some people find them less energizing. So it's all, personal preference of your palette aesthetic, I guess. I also think food and beverage is a very important component. Some people like experiences like Miraval, where they have all these like healthy prepared foods, where they have all these like, mindfully intentional classes. They can include equine therapy and all these other ancillary therapies that people really do enjoy that they would never normally carve out the time for, but they're resort based and they have a lot of access to those sorts of things. And I think that's very interesting. I also think people need to think about what topography is comfortable to them or interesting to them. So, do people like water? Do people like mountains? Do people like altitude? What sorts of things are impactful or resonate with people more where they're comfortable?
Mhm.
Weather,
Yeah.
also.
Mhm.
There's so many because it's all like it's a multi-sensory experience, travel.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
it truly is. Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So, friends, as you're kind of, maybe you're trying to figure out which topic to purchase or you're looking at, how am I going to do this? I think
Mhm.
those are some absolute gifted questions to be asking yourself of your where.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's true, and it's different for everybody, and it can change. I mean, some people thrive in cold weather, some people like hot weather. It's really all personal.
Mm.
So if you gift yourself the course that we're dropping on the first, or someone gifts it to you, make sure you go back and play this episode and specifically that question. It was filled with gifts for you. So, Deborah, most of our audience we know is female, but we're getting a growing male audience, which
Okay.
is exciting.
I like
But
that.
for right now, what tips can you offer for women who want to travel solo?
I think it's also a very, very good question. I think that solo travelers are very, very special because I'm a solo traveler a lot of the times. If I'm traveling for work or I'm going for a meeting or I'm speaking at a conference, I'm traveling alone. I feel that you have to I try to set myself up for success. So for example, if I'm at an airport I've never been to and it's a different language, I would sometimes get an airport greeter to take me from the plane through customs and immigration just because I don't know the airport. I don't know where I'm going. I don't like to not know what I'm doing or where I'm going. I
Yeah.
find that it produces a lot of stress in my body. And so I try to set myself up for success. And I have somebody who would come take me from my plane to the car. So I'm there seamlessly and safely.
I didn't even
And
know
then,
that existed. That's amazing.
yeah. And then they also help you with your luggage. If I'm traveling for like a long time, I have all these, gazillion bags and I'm one person and I have two hands and one very tired brain. And so after a very long flight, I try to set myself up for success. And the airport greeter is a nominal cost. And it makes a big difference in terms of, me feeling like somebody's waiting for me with my name. They're going to take me where I need to go. They're going to help me. And that's the gift I give myself, especially as a solo traveler. If I'm traveling internationally. I mean, domestically, I can handle it. But if I'm abroad, and I mean, all the signs are in English, but I still don't really like to go where I don't know where I'm not going. And I like to have all my stuff pre-planned so that I don't need to stress.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh
I
my.
would pre-arrange a transfer just because I don't want to. I mean, I don't know. It's a reputable company. Chances are, hopefully I'll get there, so, and so,
That's so cool.
I
yeah.
think it goes back to you saying something that you alluded to before. Like, if you give people like a map, like
Yeah.
if you know what you want to do, right? If you spend the time to think about, I want to travel, you visualize what it is, you've said it out loud, you're gifting it to yourself, removes all the complications. Just
Yeah.
figure out what's going to help you get you from A to B. Like,
Yep.
stay traveling, don't have to go back to workspace, stress place. Figure out what you need to help you get there.
Exactly. Safely, seamlessly, efficiently. Yeah. And I think it's great. And yes. And then also whenever you pack, I have to do this. Whenever you pack, make sure you have enough clothes in your carry-on for a couple days should your other suitcase not make it.
Wise.
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 Yeah. And I always say your favorite toiletries.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Because there are certain things that I cannot live without.
Yeah. And then you don't want to have the stress of having to say, oh, no, what I was going to wear, that evening is missing in action for an undetermined amount of time.
Right.
So, yeah.
I love that. I love that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So much good wisdom.
Yeah.
Okay. I have one more question.
Sure.
Can you briefly share what it may look like for someone who wants to work with you?
Sure. I like to do an intake call just to see what their expectations are, how they've traveled in the past, how they've navigated their travel in the past, what types of hotels that they like, what levels of service they're expecting and hoping for. And it's kind of like playing a matchmaker. Yeah. Because
Well,
you have to, because not everybody is going to be, a good fit, or you have to know where to put them if they're not a good fit for you, whether it's budget or types of experiences that they're seeking. Everything has to, there's a place for everybody, but you have to know where to align it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like interviewing a therapist, Christina, it sounds like.
Yeah.
It's actually very
It is.
similar. And
Yeah.
and I mean, I feel like half of my day is also being a therapist, actually. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I'm sure
Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not
Because the
dissimilar.
emotions and the personalities and the dynamics, probably a family therapist.
Oh, for sure. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially on these bigger group trips. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, friends, Christina and I are just like holding on, like listen to every word. Like when Christina and I talk, there's usually not a lot of lull. We're usually like bam, bam, bam. But today we're like, okay, keep listening, keep talking.
I love that.
Friends,
Yeah.
we hope you have loved this episode.
Thank you.
As Deborah shared with us, travel truly is one way to celebrate yourself, create memories, and gifting yourself joy. It's been such a treat to reconnect with you. And
Me too. I really appreciate it.
I know we're going to be smiling big for sure.
I love
all
this.
day.
Yeah.
And you absolutely help people celebrate lives through travel. And it is so clear that you get lit up by what you do each and
Yeah.
every day.
Thank you.
Yes.
Can you share with our listeners where they can connect with you if they want to follow along,
Sure.
or if they want to have one of those phone calls with you?
Sure. Absolutely. The best way is by email, Deborah, DEBORAH, at smartflyer.com, SMARTFLYER.com, or follow me on Instagram, just my name, Deborah Director. And then that's it. I tend to prefer emails because my team can track my emails. I have an admin team just because of my, travel schedule and my speaking schedule, that they can help me flag things for priority. Where
Mhm.
phone calls, I tend to, have my phone on silent all the time. Yeah.
And now we know where to find you. So whether it's
Exactly.
across the globe or a small escape nearby,
Yeah.
gifting yourself the gift of travel is about making space for wonder and creating your own story. Go ahead, guys. Look her up, follow her along, start dreaming, and maybe dream a little bit bigger about your own travels. Think about, if you are wanting the course, how to create your own retreat, or you want to pass it along. Christina already gave you that gift. Send it exactly who you want the gift from. Think about it. And when you start planning it, tell us all about it on our socials. You know where to find us. Hang out with us on Mondays. Christina and I take turns with gifts on the couch. And until next week, friends, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.